2, 1. I'll clip this part. What's up, Trios Tribe? Gonna just had a tournament this weekend. Core TCG Pasadena Regional, hosted by Eggman. Events.com, along with myself and DigiPanda on the commentary desk. We had the very fun DigiZoo pairing. It kind of dawns on me that we need more DigiZoo participants. We have a squirrel and a panda, and that's a very, very small zoo. Maybe there's like one other person. It depends on. No, I think it's just us, man. So, you know, if you're a content creator looking for a team, I mean, we got you, homie. Anyway, most importantly, let's talk about how I'm doing this live, and so I hope to make this more of a consistent thing. So check out the channel, subscribe to the channel, whatever you want to participate, because I do intend to add whatever chat has to say with that deck list you see. And the other important thing is, this is the first NA's first event post ban list, as this did happen Sunday, the 30th, March 30th, after the March 28th ban list release, I guess we'll call it, or came into effect, I guess is the proper wording. And honestly, my at a glance, you look at the pie chart, it's a pretty diverse format, right? Like, this is a pretty healthy top 16, right? We got one, just off the top of my head, we have 8 decks in the top 16. That's pretty solid, right? I don't think that's in any way ludicrous. How, like, we have a bunch of one-ofs, we have the best deck of the format, or at least the most represented format of the format is Royal Knights, making a sum, and then two impressive outliers. Definitely, I think the biggest outlier everyone didn't see, most people didn't see coming into this format, was Leviamon. I feel like Leviamon probably overperformed in terms of deck representation, right? Which is really cool. We saw it multiple times, round 8, round 9, being able to handle both Gallantmon twice. Honestly, it's kind of funny. And Gallantmon also achieving some pretty good results as well. And then Sun and Moon Galaxy taking 2 spots. Green Imperial actually took the whole thing. There was a weird kerfuffle with how the rounds ended up. By round 8, we had 2 undefeated, right? And they tied. So round 9 became like this whole weird thing where, like, the 2 people with a tie had to play against people with losses, and then, like, I get, like, one of the people with a tie lost, and so did the other one. So we just did not have a clear winner. Even at the end of the stream, I had no clue who had won the tournament. But that being said, we do know who won the tournament. Blue-Green Imperial took the whole thing. Using a U instead of a B is kind of amusing to me, because I feel like we caused that. Miguel V is the player, the Bandai TCG name, taking the whole thing, going 8-1 with Blue-Green Imperial, followed by, I mean, you can kind of look at this top 3, even the top 4 here, all having the same score. So any one of these actually technically are our true first plays, which is really interesting that you can kind of look at this and say it's 4 different decks that could have taken first place, because as you can see, they all have the 8-1 record. It's just kind of whatever your tiebreakers kind of sent you to would be where this went, right? So 4 different decks: Red, Purple Imperial, Royal Knights, Leviamon, and New Green Imperial. Actually, we didn't speak on it, but Red Purple Imperial probably underperformed everyone's expectation going into this, most people's expectation going into this tournament. I know Eagle X himself definitely speaks very lowly of the deck, doesn't believe that it's a deck that actually will stay in contention for this, like, top echelon of topping decks, but we'll see how going forward. I still think people are trying to figure out the right way to, like, trap every deck. I feel like their playstyles may lead towards going into the floodgate too soon, instead of being able to, like, maybe establish a board with a Dino B or a Imperialdramon. But let's actually jump into the deck list as we go, and we can I think I'll go into talking about, we'll talk about Dominimon, and then we'll start talking about adding chat into these selections. So we got Bubble Boy here. Bubble Boy being our only yellow deck, achieving a top 16 status. Let's zoom out a little bit. Yeah, no, we got the Cupimon, the EX, I believe it's the EX6 Cupimon is definitely the mainstay Digibubble from going forward, right? Ever since TK got hit to 1, all the decks have kind of moved to this Cupimon because you kind of just really just need the ability to just check security, see what's in there, manipulate what's in there a little bit, and once you've done that once, most of the time Domini can pop off just fine. Domini will always be, especially the fact that we added Valderon 2 as just like you know, instead of Ruin Mode. I feel like Ruin Mode was never doing much for the deck. The Valder Armor is really gonna add more to the deck than I think a lot of people are gonna give it credit for. And the fact that it can Digivolve on top of Medieval and Domini, I think there's a lot of value there. Speaking of which, Domini making its debut here as well. But to go, Patamon. The potato probably has to go eventually, man. Like, I still talk about how this Patamon is able to achieve, when you promote out of security, if you Digivolve into this Rapidmon, that is a 4 evolution that you get for free, and then you get a single memory off of the Patamon effect itself. So just for promoting, you achieve a 5 memory play, which is ridiculous, I think. Just for promoting, you get 5 memory. And Ukamon giving you 1 and a hatch was too much. I don't know. And then if you have, obviously, if you have TK to go with that, it's another memory. So you're looking at 6 memory. You can even bounce that back with the Godamon. Godamon is a 2 memory, but also gives you 1 back. So the Godamon's not as efficient as Rapid, but then you have Barrier and you're inheritable. Actually, you would go 5. This would be 2 plus 3. So 2 plus 1. So you'd get a 3-4 memory play off of that pretty easily. Yeah, I know, let yellow have something, but like maybe they could have something else that isn't so just promote rookie into my level 7, you know. I know other decks are doing that too, and we'll talk about that. But no, either way, 15th place, going 7-2. Congratulations, Bubble Boy. I don't think there's a lot to be said about Domini, to be fair. You stay on some arrangement of level 5 aces, because you do sit on this Angramon, this Rapidmon, and then that's a lot. Setting up the double Angramon play is definitely one of the strongest things this deck can achieve still. So it makes me surprised that they choose to only have 3 Angramons, but I get it. Like, the raw heal for Magna Angramon is kind of nice too. 4 Magna Angramon from BT16 is kind of just duh. It's just too good. Also, the other surprising thing I would say is no Seraphimon. We noticed a trend in previous formats that once Shadow Seraphi was released, Dominimon players were adding Seraphimon so that we had a level 6 that could be aggressive, and then it could still be a defensive piece because Shadow Seraphi can ace on top of Seraphi. And that not seeing that in this list is definitely might pivot us into the future for something else, and who knows. I got a comment saying never understood how people do well with only 2 rookies, and to that I would say to you that because of mulligans, a lot of the time people are always mulliganing to find the rookies. Henceforth, they can be greedier with those rookie counts. They're just trying to find 1 rookie, and then that's it. And that's why I've been going on a tangent lately about how level 4 is actually becoming the most important slot in deck lists. Notice here we're only on 9 champions, which is, to me, that's where I start thinking, man, that's to me where I both start thinking we're a little low, because if you can see, you can mulligan for rookie, so it becomes a lot infinitely easier to find rookie, but level 4 is where you just don't have that as much consistency. And then yeah, that being said, we will I think that's, unless someone else has anything to add about the Domini list, I think it's really it's bright showing. The TK here is 3 of this TK might be the next standout point. No trainings, just a full boost, but it also makes sense. We want boosts in this because sometimes we do just hard play this Magna Angramon and just play our game straight from there. But I think I've harped on this deck a little too much. Let's go on to the next deck. The Sakuyamon. The Sakuyamon list actually making it all. GFG Peaches making it to the top 16 here, actually at 10th place at 7-2 record. Pretty sick record, I would think. And it's funny, going forward, the Sakuyamon deck did get hit, right? Everyone's worried about ruin mode loop with the Kazuhamon, with the ban list. Kazuhamon is at 1, but even then, I think a lot of people were kind of moving away from that list as is, and we're moving towards what we see here, where we actually do run a slightly like a more normal amount of rookies with actual champions we can digivolve into. It's still a low count. I think the most impressive thing here is that we are so greedy with like only 9 rookies, only 5 champions, and then like you would think to yourself, oh, that would mean that we're gonna go all in on Tao. Like we always have Taomon Ace as a backup, but we only have 1 copy of it in the deck list here, which makes me think they just like tried to hard mulligan and tried to just kind of high roll in the sense that like they were just hoping that their first hands either had enough boosts and enough search to get them rookie, champion, and then they had plenty of level 5s mathematically to get the rest of the way there at that point. Looking at six level 5s, which is 8 is the standard, so not too far off, right? And then from there we can just play the game, digivolve into level 6, where we did have an interesting collection of level 6s. We had 2 Sakuyamon, BT17, 219, 1 of the X antibody, and then 1 of the Maidmons. Maidmon being the most interesting addition to the level 6 lineup for Sakuya. Definitely offers a lot of utility here, especially the when attacking lets you go back into Sakuya. And then from there going from what and where here. It just gives you more targets for Digivolution plugins, scramble. Maybe you don't always want to go into Ruin or Valderarm. You can play an option 5 cost or less. And the other interesting tech I also saw, we all saw, I feel like I think we streamed it once, was this Blast Fire. Changing all you're playing this thing for free, right? First off the jump, right? You're playing the Sakuyamon deck, so you're playing options of single color for free, and then changing any Digimon to a 3k when your deck has just -6ks, -2ks here and there all over the place is kind of crazy. Speaking of yellow, have something. I mean, the Sakuyamon deck is also here, right? I guess I misspoke at the beginning of the video, but yeah. No, from there we have 4 of the BT19 Rika, 1 of the EX2 Rika, which makes me it makes me curious, like how do we really value the Rika in the sense of which part are we caring about? Is it the memory setting that we care a lot about, or is it the when attacking? Because the Sakuyamon deck isn't really known for attacking a lot, right? When we do attack, hopefully it's here at this Taomon where we can get this inheritable going. But outside of that, it's not too crazy. We also played one of the original EX2 Taomons to play a Rika on 2, so we could funny enough, we could play our level 4 could play Rika, and a level 5 could play Rika, so we could have like up to 3 Rikas just chained up the line, because this one cares if you have 1 or fewer, and then this one just plays Rika no matter what. Interesting list. Valder, Ruin Mode, probably the staple level 7s for yellow going forward. You're probably going to see some combination of these in any yellow deck. But after that, no, I think that's it. That's the Sakuyamon deck surviving past the ban list, which is really cool. But yeah, 10th place, Peaches, congratulations. And let me double check. Yep. And from here, we get to talk about some of our Galaxy players. So Galaxy got hit, air quotes, got hit on the ban list. We lost the Mirage Gagomon, and I don't want to say I told you guys so, but like I kind of I've kind of for a long time have been saying that like if you hit Mirage to 1, the deck isn't dead. The deck will still do all of the shenanigans it can do, and you can argue if one way or the other if the deck is healthier now because we don't have the Mirage Floodgate constantly in our face, and that's a different debate. However, I've always said that they're just always going to find a different level 6 blue or red to take advantage of, and now we even have a level 7 blue or red card, which doesn't really, the colors don't really matter, but you get my point. Medieval Gallantmon has also been added to the deck, which just gives it a different avenue of removing things earlier and not always needing to just evo up all the way. Also gives Flaremon a little bit more value because now Flaremon can just digivolve into Medieval. But I think the biggest thing we saw even out of Worlds was that Invisimon fits into this deck like a glove, man. Being able to attack security, have jamming, put the guy in the body and then just have it exist as another body coming out at the end of your next turn is ridiculous, man. And then nah, deck needs to be hit further. I mean, I can't not say that. I feel like definitely there's certain parts of the deck that still like enable way too powerful plays. I think off the back of this Gallantmon and the Tamer, just being able to go into things like level 7s for free is probably too high of a power ceiling for any deck to achieve. I mean, MDF is on the ban list for a reason, right? It's because we're digivolving to level 7s for free. So with that in mind, I think like some touching up here on these two cards would be the best way, but it's not a big deal otherwise. Too many free things on that deck. Yeah, I can kind of agree. But I didn't actually name which player this was. This list we're looking at here is Nathan Warren's 12th place 7-2 Galaxy list, and we're seeing all the normal staples. Even still having Ryugamon, I would have thought Ryugamon would have been phased out at this. Ryugumon would have been phased out by now. Maybe a couple more Wisteria memory boosts could have helped us. We had the four Colin Sao. And I mean, like, again, I hate to talk about somebody's deck and ratios like this, but at the end of the day, Sun and Moon has been a pretty solved list at this point. Pretty much up until the champion and ultimate sections tend to stay the same, and then your level 6 toolbox is what the deck is known for. And then our option collection, 2 scrambles is interesting, especially since sometimes like the blue scramble can maybe whiff given on certain boards. I wonder how often that came up. But we do have more blue champions and blue ultimates than we do red, so like it shouldn't come up too often, especially if we have Hankun scramble into Mirage. That probably sounds pretty busted. Yeah, and I never think that like we should. I'm never in favor of banning the Ko and Sao. I really just think it shouldn't allow players to digivolve into any Digimon, because this is the real card that's letting us digivolve into Omnimon X or Imperialdramon, and I think that power level ceiling for this card is just a little too high. If this was reserved for only to digivolve into Nightclaw Nightfang, I think the deck would be a lot more fair, I guess. And maybe that's a bad thing, but you would still enable all the cool memory manipulation plays. You would still have a lot of memory to go into your level 6s. You just wouldn't get the peak of the mountain of you getting 6 memory for free, right? And we talked about that with Patamon earlier. We get to talk about let's move on to the next Galaxy list. 9th place, also 7-2. So the same score, same record as Nathan. This is Bravon's list. BVRON. Then we're seeing a lot of the similar stuff. Instead of the 3 Hankun, we're actually going onto a Mac Galgamon. Instead of 4 Cressy, we got a Zudomon Ace for coverage, adding some floodgates instead of the Ukamons we saw previously, which floodgates are pretty good right now. And funny enough, we're on a blue. It makes me interested as to why we're on a blue. Is it for Hankun that we would use a blue floodgate here? It must be Hankun that way. Why we would use this over Solarmon and just choose to whiff on the idea of being able to digivolve in the back. That's the only thing. That's the only hiccup I see there. Could have been a Solarmon instead, and then we could just evo in the back. But then Hankun can play Otama, and there's no blue equivalent for can't play by effects for blue. That could be the rationale I'm seeing. And then from here we actually have Apollomon in this list. Apollomon is still a good card. I think that's definitely needed in the deck. It adds a lot of aggressiveness. Like we saw a match on stream. I think it was the round, I forget which round it was, but basically they were able to go into Apollo, or no, it was on the Eagles Nest webcam. They were able to go into Apollo and just be extra aggressive, and that aggression led to them being too fast for their opponent to actually deal with what the Sun and Moon deck is going, because this one of the weaknesses to the Sun and Moon deck sometimes can be like they just take a lot of turns to do what they want to do, or not a lot, I guess a lot in today's conventional understanding. and that leads to your opponent being able to answer what you're doing, and then you lose. Where sometimes if you're just aggressive enough, people can't keep up, man. And Apollo really satisfies something like that. Also introducing the Gallantmon X, again, red, blue, Digivolves on any of our level 5s, and then we just have immunity, and it's annoying. It's a different type of floodgate, yada yada yada. I'm surprised we didn't see anyone run red, purple, Imperial, honestly. Maybe that's next tournament. I don't know. Then we got the Homer for some shenanigans potentially, and 2 Wisteria memory boosts, along with X antibody and Paladin mode as our top end once again. Hexblow is too good and probably should go to 0. I don't know about that. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, if I do have a mentality of, if one floodgate was bad, Mirage, then we kind of should start looking at all floodgates and being like, they're all kind of annoying and all kind of bad for, like, maybe not for, like, I don't know, the floodgates, I know there's a logic of floodgates slow the game down and like stop ridiculousness from happening. However, I would argue that floodgates also lead to situations where your opponent can't play the game, and if we're just playing a 1-player game, like, why aren't we just playing Centipede or something? You know what I'm saying? That being said, congratulations to Bravon, 9th place, very amazing. And I think that's it for Galaxy decks. So let's go on to Gallant. We had a few Gallants be able to make it to the top end here. Another deck that just wasn't touched by the ban list at all, so should, in theory, be able to achieve, you know, success, and that's what we saw here. This will be 14th place, 7-2 Checo's list. And once again, we're just seeing a pattern in all these deck lists where they're just really starting to get greedy with level 4s and level 3 rookies. Looks like we got 10. Oh, we have a normal amount of rookies in 12, but then level 4s is where we start cutting again. We have 9 level 4s, which, oh, that just feels, in my mind, the standard level 4s is like, what, 11, 12? And so to go down from that to 9 is like, oh my god, the math, oh, it's so gross. But it obviously worked for this player. I'm not trying to hate. I'm just trying to like think of how I do things, and that's never the greatness of the world. You know what I mean? Actually having 1 Groundmon Ace, which I really like. I feel like adding 3k to DP, adding the 3k amplifier to DP deletion at maximums is kind of nuts. We saw Magidramon also does that. We see some examples of it, how strong that can be in Dobrikmon decks, and just having a more in archetype version that does a little something else than just amplify. There's a lot of value here. Sometimes people go wide. I've seen War Growlmons gain us memory when we evo into it, so it's kind of disgusting. That being said, we're seeing a little more normal ratios here. The BT12 War Growl is the only War Growl that matters to us, along with the X, but it's a different War Growl. It's not the same. And Gallantmon, this one that gains us a protection if we're at 0 or less memory from all of our opponent's effects, making attacking to security free, and also being responsible for giving us a lot of DP gain, plus 3k when digivolving and when attacking, because it's not a once per turn. And if we're here, that thing is pumping a lot. We're deleting 11Ks, which is a really important number nowadays. A lot of errant level 6s are now 11K. So being able to clap into those is really nice. And then Gallantmon X, only 3 Gallantmon X. Okay, that makes sense. 2 of the Secret Rare. The Secret Rare just allows for there's so much comeback potential in the Secret Rare, and we're probably going to talk about that more and more going forward. But yeah, man, this Secret Rare is so good for comeback potential. And I know, like, with Purple Hybrid out of the format, it loses value, but it's just still there, man. It's insane. And then our choice of level 7s instead of 2 Crimson Mode Aces, we decided to fit in a Jesmon GX. Kind of facilitates the same thing that like an Omnimon X would in this slot. Even Crimson Mode, just like a blitz attack, just makes me interested. It's like, why not have the second Crimson Mode? Where's the value in Jesmon GX? That's something I might be missing mentally. Maybe chat can help me. Not quite sure why we would have Jesmon GX here. But maybe I'm just missing something. Like, what does this do that an Omni X doesn't? Or another Crimson? Or I guess Blitz. I guess one thing would be it gives us Blitz without needing Takato, but Omni X facilitates that too. So just not a criticism, just a food for thought. Always here. X antibody profile, really low on these. Actually, just the 1 and the 1. Probably not part of our main game plan, but if we draw into it or search it, get a free 2 for 1 off of the Gallantmon, we're pretty happy. Not bad. 3 offense trainings make sense. 1 scramble, 1 memory boost, and actually the pretty high tamer count. This is more tamers, and why I say this is a high tamer count is when you think about it, this is more tamers than the Mirage Galgamon deck actually gives us, right? Mirage Galgamon decks were going down to like 3 or 2 tamers, and now to see 5 tamers, it's like, whoa, what is this? What are you, blue? But now that makes sense. Seeing these 2 tamers in particular is a lot of value for us. And then maybe sometimes we get to cheek out an extra memory out of the staccato. So I definitely see that. Jesmon GX allows you to OTK and is searchable with Cool Boy. But we're not running Cool Boy. So I guess it is. Is it searchable with Guillemon? No, it's not. Interesting. Been seeing a lot of decks with 10, 9, 6, 6 ratios, and I agree, Raul, that does seem to be the current meta of in terms of rookie, champion, ultimate level 6s. That's really interesting. That's very, yeah, an insightful way to look at it, I guess. Maybe we just have enough draw and offense trainings and mem boosts to just get us the rest of the way there. There is a factor to think about that, like greedier decks have the opportunity to high roll, hence those greedier decks can bubble up to the top of tournaments, and sometimes that's what oftentimes we see. Like a lot of people can look at a deck list and it's like, how you don't break? Well, you just don't need to break for 9 rounds. You can break hard the 9 games before and the 9 games after, right? But as long as you did well in the 9 rounds in the middle, statistically speaking, you're still good. So you got 88th Momentai. Congratulations on that. What were you playing? Let us know. But we will move on to the next deck list. It's another Gallantmon list. This will be, I believe this is 8th place Gallantmon X, 7 1-1 by Abe. And adding the Solarmon and Gatsumon are the first things we see. And a little higher on the rookie count. No, this is still pretty. A little higher on the rookie count. We're still seeing the same thing for level 4s. Only 9 level 4 or 8 level 4s. So we're even greedier. Wow, only 8 level 4s going into 7 5s and then 7 6s. Wow, and then 1 level 7 Omnimon X. 1 more X antibody over the 1-1 of our previous list. 2 scrambles, way less trainings. Wow. Crimson Blaze, probably for things like Red Purple Imperial is the big one. Imperialmon itself is a big one, considering who won the whole thing. And Royal Knight sometimes plays by effect too, so it's not irrelevant, I would say. Red Memory Boost is our favored just because, and we're not even on the Secret Rare Gallantmon. Wow. Oh, that's so interesting. Well, fair enough. I can't begin to try to argue. And then 5, we're seeing that 5 tamer number again for our Gallantmon player. This could start becoming a trend and a pattern here. Yeah, no, that's it. I got nothing else to say. It's interesting. And we're seeing the Omnimon X over the GX of the previous list. Kind of like what I was saying, adding Medieval Gallantmon is always still a good card. 6 level 5s, or yeah, no, 7 level 5s, a lot, pretty much standard there. I think another thing here that is interesting is this Digimon. Just add 1k to your DP maximums, and I think that egg probably caught a lot of people off guard. This being able to delete 5k suddenly, 9k suddenly, then if you have the ace, like all the math is insane. This Groundmon, we're playing 3 of this Groundmon, only 2 of the Tocado player, and this is just adding another 2k. Suddenly you're deleting things that people thought they were out of range, and that probably caught a lot of people off guard. So no, either way, congratulations to Abe, 8th place, breaking into the top 8 with a 7-1-1 record. Pretty cool. And then we get to talk about our last Gallantmon ace, also 7-1-1, 6th place, Echo, I guess is what that's the word we're gonna use. Deciding not to play any of the floodgates. We're playing 11 3s, eight level 4s, which is still kind of crazy to me. Flipping the ratios on the Groundmons, playing less of the DP amplifier slash deleter guy, and having more Tocado playing Groundmon X antibody, and then our 4 and 3 split on Groundmon X to Groundmon. Only 2 Gallantmon BT17s is kind of wild, but I guess we used that slot to get an extra Gallantmon X antibody along with a secret rare Gallantmon Crimson mode at 2, so we're not playing Omni or Jesmon GX on the side. 99th with Blue Hybrid also. Whoa, what's up? Oh, 99th with Blue Hybrid. Rest in peace, Blue Hybrid. Sucks. But to keep going, we're seeing 4 Tamers here, maxing out on trainings, 2 scrambles. So we definitely win for way more consistency with our little option lineup here, seeing 2 X antibodies, 3 total X antibodies here, favoring the win attacking one, which makes sense. I feel like the win attacking one tends to be the better one. The protoform was like one you want to save for that right moment, but maybe we're just if a Levia starts doing better, or is more represented in going forward, maybe the protoform is the play, just so we can just keep recycling that one champion that we have low count of, or that one rookie, or that one level 5 we might need, so we can keep going back toe to toe with our opponent. Could be interesting. I have no clue, but I believe that wraps up Gallantmon. So now we get to talk about the single red purple Imperial. Definitely a deck I feel like a lot of people feel underperformed. It kind of under and overperformed, right? I think this is 4th place, 8-1. Final is the screen name. So finals, red purple Imperialdramon list. I think a lot of people would have bet that at least we would have seen 2 or 3 red purple Imperials in the top 16 here, but no, just playing where we're at. But there are a lot of interesting includes in this list. We're seeing Salamon is the first thing. I feel like not enough top people actually talk about the fact that, to be fair, I'm not watching a lot of deck profile videos lately, so maybe that's on me. But the Salamon acting as a 5th green purple Wormmon is really cool. And it lets you digivolve into any free for a reduced cost, and it's the same thing as Wormmon. It's so good. A little note that maybe the Shadramon here, the problem child of like deck acquisition right now, is just a little too expensive. I know this event is the first event where the reprint of the Shadramon has been available to the player base, but that does not help the prices, I'll tell you what. Maybe a little bit, but not enough to justify a lot of people playing into the deck. So maybe it will be interesting to see how much it is the price gatekeeping people out of this deck versus like maybe the power level of the deck isn't quite what people think it is. And then another interesting inclusion is definitely having the Valkyriemon Ace. There are times where the deck likes to build boards where we're just sitting on either this Dino Bee, we're sitting on this Pyildramon with this Dino Bee that spawned it, offering us some kind of unique protection for our board. And then sometimes you just get them got with a Valkyriemon Ace and just have at it, right? So cool. Either way, we have 4 Dragon Mode Blitz mandatory, 1 of the Ace, can be give or take if it's mandatory, and then a Ruin Mode, just 1 of, which is interesting. I feel like this is probably just like a tech to like just maybe if I need it, I have it. I can always grab it with Calling of Darkness. It's not a big deal. Purple draws through enough cards that like we can just kind of afford to have this brick. And then Demonic Disaster comes out to me as another really interesting card. The security effect is something that is interesting. You may play 1 level 3 purple Digimon card from your trash without paying its memory. Any on play effects don't affect. But like if you just play this guy at the right time, it comes out, start of main phase, does its thing. Same with the Salamon. It could be really interesting there. And then it's just another extra attack, right? Suddenly fighter mode can go for game, etc, etc. So a lot of interesting stuff there. Congratulations to our 1 red purple Imperial player. Oh, that's our Asian Impact. You're the red purple Imperial player. That's pretty sick. Congratulations on your success. Yeah, no, I actually, like, well, since you're here, I guess I'll go back and talk about, maybe try going a little depth. Like, my curious thing here is always this XVmon. Like anytime I see a red purple Imperial, I'm like, why this XVmon? Is it just strictly to kill delete floodgates? Then if we're that worried about floodgates, a 1-up doesn't always get us there, right? So it becomes really interesting. If there's anything you would like to share with the chat, and I can talk about it in the future. Definitely seems pretty standard here. Matashita maybe not as standard as I would think. I believe you feel you have value in the memory setting over maybe just extra memory boosts, or maybe even, I guess trainings get kind of rough because especially since we're here and we definitely need to see other pieces, and there's not a red purple memory boost to help us out. That's one reason, but it's the extra 2k. So the inheritable is you're valuing the inheritable because you are a deck without jamming. So definitely I can see a world where like we need the extra 2k so we can swing over, you know, 15k bodies, because we get extra DP somewhere, right? Is it the dragon mode effect there? Yeah, so we get 2k, so we're hitting 15, but with things like Royal Knights, you definitely need to start swinging over 16 sometimes. So I definitely see that. And not only just swing over 16, but in addition to that, your deletion effect is also based on DP. So you need to be able to clear Omnimon X's. You need to be like just straight up so you can delete them. So with Raid, oh yeah, that too. Being able, yeah, you also have the raid so you can swing over piercing something. That makes sense as well. So yeah, I guess the 2k, I guess I hadn't fully understood the value of the 2k, but thank you for that insight. And that's why we're doing this live, which is kind of cool. And then we get to start talking about all the Royal Knights players. We have 4 Royal Knights players that we're able to achieve top 16. So we will start with the top 16, 7 and 2 Royal Knights. Lucky the Unlucky. That's an interesting name, to be fair. Where do I go with that statement? Dang it. I lost it. I lost the bit. Sorry. Royal Knights, top 16, 7 and 2. Lucky the Unlucky. Playing your own Floodgate Gatsumon. Definitely, I feel like a lot of people, like, I think Royal Knights currently aren't in the position of like thinking about floodgating our opponent, especially since we're thinking about floodgating ourselves. I know the red purple Imperial matchup can be kind of rough for this deck, and I guess Leviamon matchup might be harder than we think too, considering how well prepared they were for this format. So just being able to stop playing by effects. Also in the mirror, if you play this Gatsumon after the fact of everything you do, there is definitely the potential of being able to just stop your opponent's Omekamon plays to counter you, and you can just go for game without having to worry about it. That's probably a lot of value there too, actually. Where am I going? Yeah, no, makes sense to me. Beyond that, I wonder where we cut for that. Did we cut on this Omeka? No, I think 2 Omeka BT13 is pretty close. I feel like 2 to 3 that guy is like the standard, but I could be wrong. But let's talk about the most interesting thing about Royal Knights is the pivot towards which Royal Knights are we using, right? And since this is the first video we get to talk about it, we're on 4 of the Magnamon, which has been a standard since the beginning of time. 2 Dynus, which is definitely a reduction of the past, but because we have Last Guardian to help us search, it's just not as needed. And then Cool Boy also gets us a lot of draw. This Dynasmon is just not as necessary anymore, so we have cut it down to 2. The secondary effect of being able to delete all level 4s and lower is still relevant and does come up against certain matchups. I get that. Lord Knight as well has completely it's replaced the other Lord Knight. The other Lord Knight was acting as a floodgate, where if our opponent suspended a Digimon, we would gain some memory based on how many Lord Knights, so it allowed us to slow down the game. But this one is just pivoted. It's a blocker. It's a pseudo redirect blocker, so that's really useful. Also being able to go for an Omni play early, because this thing will allow us to play back an Omeka, which is disgusting. This thing will allow us to play back a Magnamon, and then suddenly it's the extra attack we were looking for. Honestly though, let me double check. Trade 1 Digimon with us. You may play 1 level 4 or lower Digimon card, so you can just play Gatsu. Like, you can do all your on play effects and then end with a Gatsu, and then in the mirror match you're just off to the races. So that is actually something I hadn't considered until actually just looking at this Lord Knight. So maybe Royal Knights should be able to tech in a little more floodgates than they think, especially if they can get to a position where they can trash more than they want. So I guess that's one thing. Every Royal Knights player has been on a Gatsu. So yeah, no, I guess I just haven't been considering Lord Knight's effect to be able to play anything. But there we go. And then we got 2 Medieval Gallant, the this honorary Royal Knight at this point. It's just such a good card. And then it's still a red card, so we can blast Ace Jesmon GX, we can blast Ace Crimson mode. And from there, 3 Jesmon. Jesmon has become the premier early game removal for the deck, as well as extra aggression. The extra token it spawns is disgusting, being able to delete 8Ks. It's a turnover of the previous Jesmon, where Jesmon would delete it was like 6 or 4K, but then it would amplify by 2 for every Royal Knight you had. So you don't get the ceiling, but like the utility out of this token is disgusting. It's too important. That token is everything. It just adds so much aggression, so much utility to the deck that I don't see us ever going back to the old Jesmon just so we can delete bigger things. Yeah, I was trying without those kind of techs to see if it is doable, but definitely needed to be run. Especially with these results, Royal Knights would be the deck to look out for. Definitely think Royal Knights was the premier deck, along with Red Purple Imperial. Maybe I think most people were on those 2 decks mentally, but maybe the price keeping Red Purple Imperial out. Also, maybe the power level for Red Purple Imperial isn't there, but Royal Knights definitely has proven to be the most popular deck. But also, like, definitely the decks around it can definitely deal with it. It's just how much of it is Royal Knights a slave to itself sometimes, or just really the field. Leviamon I feel like Leviamon might have like a really good matchup into this deck. And now we're also playing into the Alphamon, being able to just stall our opponent. Digimon with 10 cost or greater can't attack, and that's just a really good ability, right? Especially into Red Purple Imperial. You put this down at the right time, you have protection so they don't get the burn, or they get the burn, but they don't get the be able to delete you thing, because you just protect yourself, and that just saves, that guarantees you get a guy in your source as well. And then not being able to attack, like go into your dragon mode and then blitz, that's just not a thing with this card, right? So being able to stall out a turn is disgusting. In the mirror match, I imagine it's disgusting. Against Leviamon, it has its place as well. Just a good card. Only 1 Genkumon X would be the next thing to talk about, and interesting. It's a pretty cool card. It's funny because it can play the Omnimon X, I believe. Is it Omni in name? No, can't play Omni or Genku. Yeah, no. So you can play Omnimon X, which that's kind of busted. That's kind of sick, right? And then it gets to play any of our these 2 of our level 7s. Crimson mode is not a Royal Knight, unfortunately, but then 2 Secret Rare Gallantmon to round it out. And then I don't think anyone's surprised by 4/4/4 down here. Just the bread and butter of the deck at this point. This deck really lives and thrives off of seeing each of these every game. And if they don't, that's where they struggle. But definitely the pivot point of this deck has become how great Last Guardian is, and the Omega Cool Boy combination, along with all the Royal Knights. Particularly, I feel like these 2 Royal Knights really change the deck and allows it to be so much more aggressive. The token going in, more Omegas to go in, and then Lord Knight itself to just recycle so much stuff, especially since Omega's a level 4 itself. Kind of busted. So that being said, Lucky the Unlucky, you were our first Royal Knights we talked about. So let's talk about the next one. That was 16th place. Let's talk about 13th place. Also 7-2, Chris N91. Not playing any of the Alphamons. A return of Vidramon is interesting. The thing about, I feel like the reason with this Vidramon fell out of favor for 2 reasons. I feel. The number one is it's not red, so we are definitely in a focus of moving towards red Royal Knights due to Jesmon GX, due to Crimson mode. Jesmon GX, Lord Knight kind of gets a pass on that one because GX also digivolves on black, so we also get to like the black ones, like the Alphamon and the Craniumon. We saw Craniumon on stream, but not that maybe this player is not playing. And then the fact that like there's a lot of source heavy decks and you don't really get the removal. This was it for each of your opponent or Digimon with the Royal Knights trait, and each of your blue tamers trash the top 2 of one of your opponent's Digimon. When you would play a Digimon with the Royal Knights trait or a blue tamer, return one of your opponents with no Digivolution cards to the hand. I feel like it's a very rare situation where you get enough source strip with this guy. Maybe I could be wrong if the person in if Chris and 91 is out there. I just feel like the struggle point for most people is the fact that like there's a lot of sources nowadays. Bouncing is really good, especially with all the on deletion in the world, but bouncing, stripping the sources and still getting the bounce might not just be as possible as it used to be. Maybe it's not as relevant as it could be. So there's always that. Maybe stripping partition could be good. Yeah, that's always a good, it's the top two, which, you know, usually gets us there for partition strips. So that makes sense, but running it too. So we definitely did like this card. Playing the Alphamon for the recovery, which is the opposite of the other Omnimon. The other Omnimon would just completely shut out a big turn from an opposing player with level 6s or something, 10 cost or higher. This one, the recovery really comes up, I feel. The recovery is really important. It just allows a lot of defensive plays. Resetting, essentially, sometimes it can... oh, there we go. Omeka loads. The inheritable here, right? When we lose a security, we get to play an Omekamon. And it only happens if we lose a security. And how do we... Essentially, sometimes we can just cause a loop to happen for a couple turns where we go to 0, play Omeka, go into Omni, clear the board. Now our opponent has to figure out their life. Then on the comeback, we just play an Alphamon, go back to 1 life, and now we're completely set up again. And I think there's a lot of value there. That does lose us in Omeka, but I guess it just really comes down to like what our hand and our cards are at that point. But it is possible to kind of repeat the process a few times. And after that, 2 Genku, I thought 2 Genku made more sense to me. Definitely, this is a really powerful effect, along with being able to just reuse a Royal Knight in the source is really powerful. Get back a Secret Gallantmon, get back an Alphamon, get back a Jesmon, any of these Royal Knight, get Lord Knight, get back a Magnamon or an Omeka. Particularly an Omeka, right? That's like the big one now. Just how many times can I see this guy? Is one of the big questions that I think it's this guy and this guy in the mirror that like changes everything, I feel. And then I don't think anyone's surprised 444 for our options here at the South. I think everything else kind of like makes sense, like pretty much 2 of everything, and then 4. I thought we were starting to cut this guy. I thought we were starting to push this guy down to 3, maybe even 2, but now seeing the full 4 in... Oh no, yeah, we okay. I'm like half right so far, so that's great for me. I'm not a complete fool. I wish I could run all 4s, but with the aces and how the meta is, he's significantly weaker than he was before, and that's kind of how I thought the world was looking at it too. But let's go to the next one. That was our 13th place. Let's talk about 11th place, intras. Not the first time we've talked about an intra list before, but let's go at it. The return of Sistermon Blanc, a good old BT13 classic, I feel. This Sistermon Blanc just being just draw 1 and then everything gets blocker, or no, all the sisters get blocker. Just a cheeky little blocker. That's just funny. We're just there because it's pretty. I mean, it's an interesting card. Definitely lets us play. It gives us an option to play early, and we can replay it off of the Lord Knight. So it's like a play Lord Knight, play this, draw card. That can't be awful, especially if we haven't seen this Omeka. So, and then it's a blocker. So, not bad. I think. For cutting a Magnamon and adding a Wargrowl Ace, I think this was our solution to, like, in case we got floodgated. That makes sense because this will delete just all floodgates out there. You delete a 3k and then you add 2k for each of your opponent's Digimon. So if they just flooded you out with floodgates, every floodgate they added, they just get deleted, right? And then you have a 3k buffer to, like, if in case there's a 3k one out there, you just pop that one too. So that's pretty sick, and you get a memory for every one with a play cost of 5. Not too, just an interesting tech, definitely. Not anything like groundbreaking. Dynasmon at 1, so we're definitely, like I said, we're seeing the Dynasmon just kind of fall out of favor. Medieval Gallant, Alphamon, the Floodgate Alphamon, not the healing one, which is interesting. There might be a back and forth as to whether this Alphamon is better than the recovery one. What is better, to be able to heal security and reset this inheritable, or just flat out stop a turn from a big, like, another Royal Knight player or a Red Purple Imperial player or anything of the sort, anything that's trying to attack with something, you know, high play cost. Definitely an interesting thought, I would say. 1 Genku, 2 Secret Rare Gallantmons. Honestly, I think Secret Rare Gallantmon's becoming the best deck card in both of its decks, honestly. Jesmon GX, and then 3 Oryuken. 3 Oryuken, I'm not surprised by that number. It is a lot, especially since like the tricky thing about aces when you're deck building is you need to avoid putting 2 aces of the same name under the King Drasil, because when you go for your Omni turn, you can only play one of them. So if you have 2 Oryukens under there, you're overflowing 5, and that to account for that can get kind of rough, right? Sometimes you can make up for it with this Omnimon and then gain the 3 memory off of Oryuken, but it's something to come up, and that's why we're not just seeing like a ton of it. But Oryuken Ace is still a busted card. A premium 15k minus DP. This is just better Wyvern's Breath, right? Like it is gross what this card is. Like if you were in a yellow deck and you just want to play Wyvern's Breath, play this instead. It has legs and it's premium DP removal. And what do you mean by premium DP removal? It's a term. Digishon told it to me, and we're just gonna keep going with it. Basically, it means it's DP removal that lasts until the end of your opponent's turn. So this is like Magnamon X is completely made irrelevant by this card. It is actually insane. Gallantmon ignoring the BT13 alpha makes me think the new Alphamon is better, or you can deals with Gallant and Magnamon X, so that's probably why they run it at 3. Absolutely, that's exactly what I was getting at. Gallant X, Magna X, even Royal Knights with aces and small bodies can win without being locked out by Alphamon. And I'm not trying to say which one is better, it's just we clearly see a dichotomy, right? And that's all I'm trying to bring up, is there is a dichotomy of Royal Knights players either playing this one or the other one, and that's all I'm trying to bring up. I actually couldn't tell you which one's better. I see the value in both. Maybe it just depends on, are you more scared of Red Purple Imperial? Maybe you shouldn't have been. This one definitely stops a lot of that shenanigan, I feel. So, And then Queen's Device, again, our tech to get rid of floodgates, allowing us to do no pawn device to go with it is interesting, but it is what it is. And then Crimson Blaze, again, it just seems like we were pretty afraid of Red Purple Imperial. Like I can almost say once we can count Digimon Emperor's attack for Red Purple Imperial. So 1, 2, kind of 3, I guess, maybe a little bit. Can you give me that? Nah, no, whatever. Definitely at least like 3, a good amount of text for Red Purple Imperial, I would say. And then I guess this Alphamon too, so 3. But that being said, let's go on to, I think we have one more Royal Knights list to talk about. Definitely 3rd place, Malloy's list. Also playing the Gatsumon. So, this is definitely becoming more, this definitely is more popular than I thought. Definitely something I didn't think about. But not to say that it's not the only person that wasn't on it. But that being said, we're seeing more inclination for the Oryuken still. 3 Omnimon. So we are seeing Royal Knights kind of not favor this Omnimon as much. It's not the 4-of that it used to be, right? We can win games without ever playing that card, which it was something before Royal Knights really couldn't say. And it's a lot of it is off the back of Jesmon, Lord Knight playing Omechas, and then Cool Boy playing Omechas, and then we just have attack after attack after attack. But to that previous debate, we are seeing the yellow Alphamon instead. Mr. 3rd place, Malloy, being able to achieve that 8-1. And I want to reiterate, at the start of the video, we saw that all top 1st place, 2nd place, 3rd place, and 4th place all have the same record. It just came down to tiebreakers. So this, you can argue this is a 1st place list, in my opinion. So is what it is. And then I think we're seeing some of the similar ratios throughout the rest of this. We've cut a GX for Noryuken, 4 Omni X, 2 Crimson Mode. Crimson Mode is just kind of disgusting, man. Like, it's just so good in this deck. And then what else? Just 4-4-4 can change it. 4-4-4-4, and then I guess 2. Is it 2 Omecha is just the standard? I guess we got 3 in that one. 2. I think most people are cutting the Omechas there. So yeah, I guess yeah. Seeing the spoiler, 2 Omechas is just kind of commonplace at this point, and 1 Genku. So congrats, Malloy. 3rd place, 1st place when you really think about it, because tiebreakers, it's not your fault who you played against, right? But let's talk about Leviamon. Definitely the star of Sunday night. Definitely not a lot of decks people were talking about it, but I do think after the ban list, people were kind of saying like, hey man, the Animal Engine didn't get hit, and Animal Engine is still not bad. So we're seeing it. This is Minth T, 7th place, going 7-1-1, X Leviamon X list. And that being said, I think we're seeing kind of like the similarities of everything to Psychmon. I'm being brought back to a time where we played this a little more often. Psychmon, Gazimon, 4 Gobbly, 1 Labra, 1 Lotmon, so we can swing over the bigger bodies that do end up being bigger than 14, because that does wall us out a lot of the times. 1 Gabumon X, because it's limited. 2 Dober is probably the biggest inclusion or the biggest update to the deck moving forward. A lot of people are starting to value the ability to just go Gobbly, Dober in the back as one of their first turns, saving them some memory, letting them go into this Dober for free, and then saving the X antibody for when they go into Cerberusmon instead, and then generating so much memory for free is pretty strong. Octomon for our Leviathan shenanigans going forward. Deltamon, Floodgate Control is still really busted. One of Lord Knight X, because D-Digivolve, Piercing, Alliance, Collision is a lot of keyword soup that is just still good for the deck. Especially since we do just have Protoform, so we get the full effect. Anubis 1, it's a 1-of for a reason, and it's a good-ass 1-of. Cerberus, Drago, all this lineup becomes pretty... This is the dog engine, and then we are playing Leviamon, so Drago becomes the next pick. 3-3 split on our Swamp Puppies. I think that's been the standard for a long time now. Ruin mode, just in case we need it. 3 Wisdom, 1 Scramble, 2 7th Lightning, 2 Biting Crush, and then 2 Purple Memory Boosts to round out this Leviamon list. We've talked about Leviamon a lot of times. I definitely think the Dark Animal Engine is really strong, and it is very surprising to me that they weren't hit on the ban list. But since they weren't, I'm not surprised people are taking advantage of the power that they left in the game still and being able to use it. Leviamon will the Leviamon stuff, the top end is just going to be so powerful for a while, and I don't see that losing traction anytime soon, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, no, next we'll talk about the next Leviamon. We got 5th place, Liam's 7-1-1 Levi X list. We also, again, a collection of Floodgates, 2 and 2, same split on the rest of the rookies, 1-1-4. Gabumon because it's at 1, Dober at 3 instead, with a 1 less Octo, 1 Cerberus, 4-4-4-2, 1 Anubis because it's a busted card, 3-3 split again once on the Swamp Puppies, 4 Protoform because you gotta find it, and then a higher count of I would say a higher count of our memory banks, training and memory boost, 3 and 4 respectively, with a single Scramble, 2 7th Lightnings, 2 Biting Crushes, still with 1 Runa mode just in case. No, congrats, Liam, 5th place. I got nothing to say. I think Leviamon definitely is at this point a pretty understood and solved deck. Even beforehand, there are definitely tech spaces like with Lord Knight here, and are opting for more consistency and memory bank options, making our security even more devastating to hit into a lot of the time, which is funny. But that being said, we can go into our final Leviamon list. 2nd place, again, technically first when you think about it, 8-1, Dan Geefs. I can't say Geef without thinking Street Fighter references in my head. Dan Geef's list, 3rd place. And pretty much the exact same rookie lineup. 3 Dobers, 4, 1, 1, 2, 4. I think this is almost verbatim the same list. Are they actually, like, unironically? There's got to be something different. Maybe I clicked the... Let me double check I didn't click something wrong here. Let me just I'm just double checking that that Liam's list and Dan Geef's list are actually just the same. And I think it is. How about that? Huh. Here I am talking about how Levi is kind of solved. Liam and Zangief, or not Zangief, oh my goodness, Dangief's list seems, so maybe that's an error on our part. I guess we do have one less, sorry, I guess, no, this is the same list. As far as I could tell, it's the same list. So maybe that's a mistake on our reporting end. However, I wouldn't be too surprised. A lot of people, like, again, Levi is a solved list. That's about it. That's all I got to say about that. Congrats on second place, technically first. So that's all I got to say about that. And let's talk about our champion. One of the people that dodged another deck that was, in my opinion, I don't care how many people go against this theory and either kind of come up with an excuse for it or something. Imperialdramon didn't get hit on the ban list. I don't care that there's a picture of Stingmon on there. Imperial did not get hit on the ban list. They got away scot-free. They're still being able to achieve all the things they're trying to achieve. Can you argue they have slightly less card draw? Sure. Which then means they slightly less get all the combo pieces that they need? Sure. They still have, this is first place, 8-1, Miguel V's, not the first time I talked about a Miguel V list. Imperialdramon list, and this is what the ban list changed, man. We got Stingmon to 1, and we got Stingmon to 1, and that's it. We added Leviamon. We added we have more excuse to add this XV now, and that's about it. That's about it. We got 11 level 4s. Nothing's changed here. Pretty good rookie lineup. The rookie lineup's always been preference. I don't think that's ever been not the case. Definitely, you see the max out on the end of turn guys, the good old BT12 duo. And then from there, you see, the purple one is good. The promo is good. This promo is like kind of optional sometimes. I think some people even cut the purple Wormmon, even though I feel like that's a mistake most of the time. And then from there, we have 7 level 5s. This is the standard play. Sometimes we'll see someone cut the starter deck one for the BT12 one. 2 of the Ace, 1 Medieval Gallant because it's a busted card. 2 of the trap card Dragon Mode from 16, 1 of the starter deck, but the starter deck guy, even as one of, is like so much of the peak of the mountain of plays for this card, of this deck. We see it all the time. Being able to gain the memory off of these 2 level 4s is just disgusting. 2 Hexablow, just because we're just trying to round out our floodgate potential and our diversity on our top end, and then a fighter mode from BT12 because sometimes you just need to be big and attack over big. And that's what we do here. We got security attack +1, blocker. Also, it's when Digivolving effect is a really good board clear at times. You never know when or where that could happen. And I would say that the biggest interesting piece here is that we're on blue scramble instead of things like HPD or another progenitor or Jade memory boost. In fact, this slot probably is the Jade memory boost for most people. And we chose to not. We didn't bother at all. We have 2 Davis Ken, the 5 tamer setup that we've seen for a long time, and that's it. And even our rookie count is, we've changed our Digitama. That is our biggest change since the ban list, I guess. Prior to the ban list, I feel like a lot of people were probably on the +1K Demi Vmon, but now we're just like meh. We lost card draw, so let's just show Bandai that we still have card draw. Yeah, no, congrats Miguel V on first place, core TCG. One of the first, this is the first NA event post ban list. I know there was a couple other ones out there, but that being said, no, congrats, and thank you chat for coming along with me. If there's anything else you guys would like to say it now. If you guys are watching the VOD of this after the fact, or I'm gonna try to post a standard video. We'll see when and where we get to that. But thank you for being here. I'm Risu the Squirrel. Like, share, subscribe. See you guys next time. Next time?